Smart 24, driving business.
Very much watching Smart, where we drive your business. This is Financial Markets. I am your host, Anthony. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Smart24TV and on all other different social media platforms at Smart24TV. We do also have a live stream feed coming in from the YouTube channel, and that is at Smart24TV Live. Those of you watching on GoTV and DSTV, you can find us on channels 394 and 372 respectively. And of course, this is a show that brings you different updates coming in from the stocks around the world and other financial market segments. And majorly, we definitely get to look at the regional opportunities that are being created every single day for investors, but also get to inform you of what's happening on the different stock exchanges across Africa and in the world. Now, the show is probably brought to you by Altex East Africa, which is your #1 private stock exchange. Today, with Altex East Africa, you can simply dial *292# on your phone using MTN or Airtel, and you can be able to cash in different treasury bonds across East Africa off of your mobile money. So the transaction has been made quite easy. You can get money off of your mobile money wallet onto the exchange to be able to purchase yourself some of the most highly profitable treasury bonds on the market. They do have different maturity periods of 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. You just choose what is convenient for you and you will be able to buy. But also those of you who want to sell different treasury bonds on the secondary market, you can do so by using still the same platform at exactly dialing *292#. You can be able as well to buy rather sell some of your treasury bonds at the best interest rates on the land. The markets at Altex open at 15 minutes past 8 a.m. and close at exactly 15 minutes past 3 p.m. East African Standard Time. Now, of course, from the weekend, the markets were closed. However, of course, on Friday we did have tradings, and we are going to try to break down some of those stock performances that were outstanding on the weekend. And generally looking across Africa, there was a little slide following, of course, the same trend in the United States. Remember, the US stocks are really kind of a benchmark mainly for the global stock situation. So I've realized this. I don't know if it's actually quite related, but when you look at the trends, the global markets are so much influenced by the US stock markets. On Friday, we did have most of the US stock markets slide, and of course ahead of the fourth quarter earnings that are going to be very soon released, and also looking into the month of January, which is the month of IPOs, there was a little decline. Of course, inflation is still at the top of the causes for this, but there was a decline in performance of the major indexes in the world. But even here in Africa, for example, looking at the Ghana Stock Exchange, lost about 4.21 points on their all-share index, which was a 0.17% drop for the day. When you look at Johannesburg, they had almost their biggest loss for the week at a 1.76% decline in the all-share index, which is the J203, tracking all the listed stocks at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The stock exchange declined by 1,305.33 points. Of course, this is a market capitalization weighted index, so you're expecting this to be definitely harming the market capitalization of the overall stocks. Looking at Nairobi Securities Exchange, on the other hand, it had a better day than most of the other stocks after a gain of 0.33% and a 0.42 points increase in the index at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Nigerian Stock Exchange also had a good day at an 83.27 points increase and 0.17% generally movement in their stock there. And Zimbabwe had the best day, of course, at the end of the week amongst all the African stock markets, with a total gain of over 324.56 points on their benchmark index, which was a 2.16% gain there on their benchmark index at Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. We're also going to be looking at Lusaka Securities Exchange, which has just also been enrolled onto the FX Stock Exchange. We shall be able to track the different companies there at Lusaka Securities Exchange on the Zambia stock, and so keep tuned at Smart24 TV and watching Financial Markets for some of those latest updates. Now let's get to look at Uganda. Uganda Securities Exchange on the Friday, that was the last day of trading for last week, didn't have a good time. Generally speaking, because of the benchmark index that declined. But looking on the other hand of the volumes, there was a little bit improvement, and also in the number of shares that were actually traded. The day ended with just about four listed companies participating in the trading, which was a good number for the day. And when you look at the gains and losses from this, we had 3 top gainers and 4 bottom losers. And as expected, Umeme came out at the top of the table after gaining about 14.76%, which was something really we did expect. Remember, at the close of last week, the picture of Umeme actually exiting Uganda came to life, and we are now waiting for the next 2 years or so. That's about in the year 2025, around the month of March. Umeme will be exiting Uganda, and of course that has quite many impressions on the different shareholders or on the public itself about the stock of Umeme. There was a consignment period of 20 years that was signed by Umeme, and that was under the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company. And Umeme was actually given this contract for 20 years under a concession agreement of 20 years to be able to supply electricity in Uganda. That is expiring in 2025, and the government has confirmed that they will not be renewing that particular agreement or contract. So there is a lot, of course, of expectations from shareholders. Probably this is a time people are thinking to get into the company's stocks and be able to buy big shares, because definitely as a company exits a country, probably it will be exiting the exchange as well, and that comes at, of course, the cost of the company being able to give back to shareholders a specific value of money. And so following that speculation and more, Umeme was able to appreciate on their last day of trading by over 14.76% on their stock price, increasing to over 241 Ugandan shillings per share on their stock exchange. We're going to look at the details there just a few minutes from now. But moving on to Jubilee Holdings Limited as well, they did have a gain of 5.64%, which was closing at 5,984.00 Ugandan shillings. They were the second top most gainers of the day. Nation Media Group as well, in the third place, gained a 3.07% on their stock, and closed at exactly 484.70 Ugandan shillings per share. On the bottom losers side, we had 4 losers, and this, of course, from the bottom, we had Equity Bank Limited coming out at a 6.59% drop to 1,361.36 Ugandan shillings per share. Remember, Equity Bank Limited is still the most valuable company via market capitalization on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with shares that are worth over 5.12 trillion Ugandan shillings listed on the stock exchange. Kenya Airways as well lost a 0.43% of their price, closing at 144.56 The day before, Kenya Airways was counting as high as 115.5 Ugandan shillings per share, but as the market closed, of course, on Friday, we saw the company lose about 0.43% of their price. East African Breweries Limited as well lost 0.28% of their price, closing at 4,966.72 Ugandan shillings. And then Centrum Investments Limited lost 0.19% of their price and closed at 244.15 Ugandan shillings. Those were the top gainers and bottom losers, respectively, on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Data, of course, courtesy of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, getting to look at the big movements here in the market, like I already mentioned, Umeme is going to exit Uganda in 2025, and this, of course, we knew last week, by the end of last week, and already we are seeing some of the influence from this announcement by Uganda Umeme Limited coming in as a top gainer for the day on Friday. But also, as if that wasn't enough, the company had the biggest volume of shares traded on the stock exchange on Friday. A total of over 4 million shares was traded on the stock market, with the company gaining from 210 shillings to 241 shillings. MTN Uganda followed suit with the 279,700 shares volume on the market, and Stanbic Bank Uganda at 85,100 shares that were recorded as well. Bank of Baroda Uganda recorded a 23,000 shares volume as well on the stock exchange, that is at the close of Friday markets trading. Regarding the performance of the USE All-Share Index, which basically is a tracker of the aggregate performance of all the listed stocks, this declined by over about 16.06 points, and this was a 1.31 percentage decline in the number of points to close at exactly 1,206.84 Ugandan shillings and rather points, and this was representing a 1-week loss of over 0.25% and a 4-week loss of about 1.87% of their price there. And then when you look at the overall year-to-date loss, we are counting about 15.05% of the all-share index. The USE local company index, on the other hand, increased by 0.7%. Of course, this is courtesy of Umeme Uganda, which was able to appreciate in value for the day, and that the biggest gain for the day. The points now are currently 274.39 points on the Uganda Securities Exchange local company index, making it a 1-week gain of 0.7% and a 4-week gain of 2.12%, and an overall year-to-date loss of 15.48% on the stock exchange. Now, currently, let's get to look into the stock of Umeme here, and we see that does provide some opportunities for you, especially you who is getting into the market. If you're new in the market and you're trying to start your investment journey, and of course the different other fund managers and participants in the stock markets. Now, Umeme was first incorporated in Uganda as a private limited company in May, on the 6th of May 2004. And later it converted into a public company on the 20th of June 2012 under the Companies Act. Now, Umeme is a subsidiary of Umeme Holdings, which is itself a subsidiary of Actis Infrastructure and an investment fund under the management of Actis through a holding company in Mauritius. Now, Umeme took over the distribution of electricity in Uganda, and that is the distribution and supply of electricity in Uganda from the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, that is under a concession period of 20 years since March 1st, 2005. Umeme is listed on the USE and got listed on the 30th of November 2012, and currently it has a stock of about 391 billion. Of course, this indicates a growth in their market capitalization due to the gain they had in price there, and this was a 1.87% gain. So 1.87% of the entire exchange is represented by the Uganda Securities, by the Umeme company on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Following their gain from 210 to 241 Ugandan shillings last Friday, which was a 31 shillings gain, they are currently the 9th most valuable. Before that, they were the 10th most valuable company on the stock exchange in terms of market capitalization. But after this particular gain, they are now the 9th most valuable company on the stock exchange, with the current market capitalization of over 391 billion Ugandan shillings. Looking at the performance of their stock during the year of 2020, when I look at the curve here, they do have a gain where they did move from around March, prices as low as 175 to prices as high as 240, 249, and they dropped again significantly down to 200 shillings from where they have been trading since the month of July 2022 towards the end of that particular month to the current date. And during this period, they have been able to trade at 200 shillings and went up to 210 shillings just a couple of weeks back, or 2 or 3 weeks back. And now they are jumping to 241 shillings. What does that mean for you and me? Let's first of all look at these 4 million shares that were traded on Friday. In a single day, somebody made over 964 million, or a couple of people made 964 million off the exchange. And this was after trading the 4 million shares of Umeme on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Now, that's very close to $1 billion shillings in a single day. What does that mean to you and me? Definitely there's something happening at Umeme, and if you want to be part of it, this is the best time. Because I am sure, honestly speaking, this stock in 2023 could hit as high as 400 shillings. Currently it's at 200, and a few people are buying and a few people are selling. But I'm telling you, and you bear me witness, by next year or in 2024, we might have Umeme stocks above 400 shillings with the way the trend is. And we know Umeme for one thing. Umeme is a very, very stable stock compared to many other stocks. When you look at, for example, the year-to-date performance, let's see. They began the year with exact 189.0 Ugandan shillings. Now, currently at 241, they have gained 27.5%. Meaning shareholders who bought shares this year in January have 27.5% gain. That is how much their value has appreciated on the stock exchange. Now, this is not only a big move, but also the best performance on all the stocks in the year-to-date performance on the Uganda Stock Exchange. That shows you how significant Umeme is right now to investors. When you look at the last 1 month, the shareholders have gained a 20% on their stock value in just 4 weeks. And so if you bought shares 4 weeks ago at 100 million, now you get 20% of that. That is exactly 20 million. That is how much you have extra on the value on the stock exchange. So meaning you have over 120 million worth of shares. So what am I driving to? This is the time to buy stocks in Umeme. And you can alert your neighbor, you can alert your son, you can alert your daughter, you can alert your neighbors that actually it is time to buy stock at the Umeme company. When you look at their volumes here as well, they have improved very, very significantly. In just 3 months, that is from the 19th of September to the 16th of December, the company has traded over 24.3 million shares just 4 weeks, rather 3 months. And when you look at the total amount of money, the turnover is as well the biggest, 5.11 billion Ugandan shillings traded on the company in just 3 months, with an average of 385,357 shares that are traded on average per trading station. Their volume high was 6.79 million shares, which was traded on 24th of October 2022. That's how good the stock is going to get at the Umeme company. And if you want to be part of that action, get to the Uganda Securities Exchange via www.use and go to Easy Portal. When you go to Easy Portal, you have, of course, the required email and a few other details, and open a Security Central depository account. I always tell my friends, you don't buy stock and just leave it hanging. You must have an account, and this is the first step for you to be able to participate in the market. After that, you get to look for a stockbroker. We just have 5 of them that are licensed. There's no one who's going to hoodwink you that they are a stockbroker and they are not. You just visit the Capital Markets Authority website to get to know those that are licensed. I can give you the 5 of them. We do have SBG as well as Cheaper Technologies. We do have Crested Capital, and we do have UAP Old Mutual and Dyer and Blair. Only those, and then you have yourself some stock. Our time is fast spent, so we're going to take a very quick commercial break. And when we return, we wind up the market performances here at the Uganda Stock Exchange and get to look into other stocks as well. Stay with us. My name is Anthony. You're watching Smart 24 TV.